So, starting off, my name is Kate Ristaw. I'm the executive director of Willamette Writers. Willamette Writers is a 501c3 nonprofit in education. I'm legally allowed to tell you that information. That means that we do great, free, and open to the public writing programming for writers from the page to the stage to the screen. And you're going to meet a lot of the faculty that you'll see at our annual conference this year. So, let's get to that. Let's get right to it because I know what you all have been waiting for. You've been waiting to see who you're going to see at the conference this year. So let me push some buttons and I will get rolling. So I'm going to share the screen, and what you're going to see is the Willamette Writers Conference webpage. So welcome to 2025. We are so excited to have you here. So at the 2025 Willamette Writers Conference, if you scroll down the page, you are going to see keynote Charlie Jane Anders. Charlie is joining us in the Zoom room, and we're going to say hi in just a couple of minutes, but you're going to see her. So over in chat, say hello, and we'll introduce in just a second. You will also see Cheryl Strayed. Cheryl is joining us for brunch this year, so we will be pouring mimosas and hearing about how we can make everything better, please, now. Exactly. I would like that. Let's do it. So that'll be Cheryl Strayed at our brunch this year. But we are starting with Marcus Lattimore. So Marcus was the 2024 Grand Slam Poetry Champion and he represented Oregon. And if you've ever heard Marcus, well, if you haven't, you're going to. And every time he breaks my heart. So he's an amazing poet and an amazing writer, and I'm excited to kick off the conference with his words this year. Next up, we also have in the room Hallie Efron. And Hallie, we're going to introduce in just a minute. Hallie is doing a master class along with Miriam Gershow. Miriam is the author of the local news and the brand new Oregon Book Award nominated book, Survival Tips. So you'll hear more from Miriam in just a few minutes. You'll also get to meet Brendan O'Meara. Brendan does the Creative Nonfiction podcast. Brendan, you like this slow roll? We're going down. We're going to get there. So Brendan is the host of the Creative Nonfiction podcast, which has like 400 and some episodes. He's interviewed and talked to literally hundreds of people, and you'll get to hear from him and learn more about podcasting at the conference this year. You will also meet Grant Rosenberg. So Grant is a novelist, a screenwriter, a producer. The great thing about Grant, he worked with Michael Eisner for 10 years. He was an executive producer over at Paramount and Walt Disney. He's someone that you're going to want to meet, but also going to want to chat with because he has a lot of knowledge of the industry and the world of screenwriting. Did we scroll to the bottom? We did. Because now, if we go up to the top, for those of y'all who are following along online, you'll be able to click under professionals and you'll meet the rest of our crew for the attending speakers for this year. So this year we have C. Lil Aarons, who will be in the room and you'll talk to in just a second. Charlie Jane, again. Annie Carl, Tina Connolly, Miriam, Eric Grove, Melissa Hart, Lisa Hepner, JB Kish, Jesse Quack. There's Marcus again, along with Brendan. We have Barbara in the room tonight as well. Roseanne, Liz, we're going to be happy to talk to, along with Grant. And you'll also get to meet Mark, Shore, Laura Stanfill, Cheryl again, Sonia Thomas, Kagan Toomer, Emmett Wheatfall, and friend of Willamette Writers, Eric Witchy. I have to say it like that. Eric is legally allowed and permitted and encouraged. You'll also meet a few more people online this year, including Tara Campbell, Hazel Denhart, Hallie Efron, Leanne Joshua, Paula Rizzo, and Lizette Wanzer. So in case you were noticing, because some of y'all might be wondering, what we have here is we have our conference faculty, and you're going to get to meet them and talk to them in just a few seconds here. We announce our agents and our critiques later in the year, so we have March 1st is when conference opens. Wait, what? What's that? You might have noticed. There's already a button on the website. Just I don't know. It's just there. That's weird. So conference opens tomorrow, March 1st, and then on March 15th we announce the official workshop agenda and what's happening throughout the programming year and throughout the program over the long week. We used to be a weekend. We're stretching into a week. So on March 15th, we'll announce that program. And then April 1st, we'll announce agents and editors and producers accepting pitches. And on March 15th, we'll have, nope, April 15th. That was like April Fool's thing. April 15th, you'll be able to register for pitches and critiques. So this list is amazing, but y'all are getting sick of hearing from me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to our board president, Marin Anderson. Marin Bradley Anderson, can you take the stage?
I can take the stage. Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be for the conference again this year. I have been to many conferences starting, the first one was in, oh gosh, 2010. And uh, I love the conference because it's like camp for writers. And I mean that in the best way because not only is there karaoke and a swimming pool, but on top of that, the whole reason that I like to go is that I get to meet people who are like-minded. You know, I can say things like, I have this bunch of characters and I try to write them and they don't do what I want them to do, and no one thinks I'm absolutely crazy. Um, but going to a conference is really useful for writers because there's this whole myth that writers like suffer in a room by themselves, and that's what writing is, and that's not really what writing is. It doesn't have to be that way anyway. Um, One of the best things you can do at a conference is networking, not in the, oh, I'm going to try to make friends with someone famous and therefore launch my career, but networking as in making connections with people who are around you at your level, who are in your genre, so that you guys can help each other uh, navigate how to be a writer. And it's the best feeling.
Hey,
Yes,
Marin,
Kate.
can I interrupt for 1 second? Because what I'm going to ask is Rebecca Postupak, who is also the producer of the Nebula Awards. Hi, Rebecca. So, Rebecca, if you wouldn't mind bringing to the stage, if they're ready, Eric Grove, Charlie Jane Anders, and let's see, who else are we going to spotlight? I think y'all are going to see why we're doing this very shortly. So, Eric Grove, we can add you to the spotlight, and Charlie Jane. Here we go. And we'll give you a little bit of time here to say hello. And if we want to add in Grant Rosenberg, that would be great. So, Charlie, Jane, Eric, welcome in.
Hi.
Hi, such an honor to be here. I love Willamette Writers Week, and it's just such an honor to get to be part of it again.
We're so excited for you to come back.
Yay.
We have you up here with both Eric and Grant because Grant actually worked on Jeremiah and has worked on now has moved into writing novels himself. So, Grant,
Woohoo!
can you give us some writing advice? This is we're just putting you right on the spot here. We need some help. Like,
Well, first of all, I'd like to show off my Denali State Park T-shirt for all of us lefties. Anyway, putting that aside, what would you like me to talk about?
give us your best piece of writing advice. See, this is what I do to you, Grant. You're on here for 4 seconds, and I'm like, tell me everything you know.
Well, I think one of the interesting things that Marin just said was, writers don't have to suffer in solitude. And I would just like to say that what I'm going to be doing this year is trying to emulate one of the most rewarding experiences I had last year, which was running the Film Lab Writers Room. And as a TV writer producer, I've done this countless times over the last 25 years. And it's writers coming together and pitching ideas, some of which are good and some of which aren't so good. But it really is a hugely successful joint collaboration. And I think what we do in the writers' room, which was developed for TV scripts, is also pertinent not only to feature ideas, but also for novelists. If you can, because you get instant collaboration from folks who, like Marin said, are like-minded. So I don't know if that's really a little 20-second promotion or a writing tip, but I think the tip would be don't be afraid to reach out to others, especially at the conference, to solicit ideas and to share your ideas and be bold about sharing your ideas because some folks are kind of cloistered and afraid that they're going to get negative response. And you won't at the conference because it's a safe place.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, like as you're saying it too, Eric Grove, the one of the main ways I met you was as a community member out there, like volunteering, like supporting other writers, attending. And we talked about for this year, you're going to be doing some talking about like performance and putting your work out for other people in open mics or in readings. Like, so I got to ask you, like, do you have a piece of advice there? Do you have something we can think about, like when we're performing our work or sharing our work? What do we do?
Yeah, I always lean into just commit to it. That's my number one bit of advice. Whenever you're whenever you're doing a reading, whenever you're excuse me, whenever you're interacting with anybody at the conference, just be yourself, be as loud and outgoing as you feel like you want to be. Don't hold yourself back. Just kind of, yeah, just lean into it, have a good time, and it'll all work out.
Yes, that's my favorite. That's my favorite piece of advice. I will also say that I get a little bit of that in this book, Charlie Jane, like, which was really like I didn't just pose this book here. It was actually like literally right over there. So Charlie Jane has the book "Never Say You Can't Survive," which talks a lot about how you can use stories and use your work and tell your stories and help you get through difficult times. So Charlie Jane, how have you kind of have you seen your work change, or how is this? How is like working on this book kind of impacted your work, or what do you kind of say here that you would want to share with some of the writers in the audience too?
Yeah, I mean, Never Say You Can't Survive. Y'all might know this, but that book started as my keynote at the Willamette Writers Week back in, I don't know, 2017, 2018. And it kind of evolved into a book over time. And, it was just, I remember being in that room doing that keynote and actually like just feeling all that energy in that room and thinking, oh, this might be something. And actually, my friend was making notes on what I was saying, and I was like, can I have those notes? Because I had a thing that I'd written out, but I kind of improvised some stuff too. And I'm glad my friend wrote down some of that stuff because I was felt like there was an exchange between me and that audience happening. It was just really exciting. Yeah, I mean, since I wrote that book, I feel like I've just as you know, 2020, when I was working on that book, was a uniquely difficult and terrible year, and I sort of thought that was going to be like the only bad year we were going to have for a while, and maybe that hasn't entirely turned out to be the case. I don't know. So, I've just found it's really been proving more and more true to me that like when I'm feeling just like freaked out and overwhelmed by the world, if I can just like lose myself in my writing and just like kind of get sucked into the problems of my fictional characters as opposed to the problems of real people, it can be very like it can be medicinal. It can be actually really helpful and like help me to kind of keep my head above water and keep an even keel.
Thank you, thank you. And that keynote was incredible. And yeah, so
Thanks.
when we got to read the book,
Yeah,
I know.
it was such an honor.
So what I want to do here is I'll shift you all off stage so you can go chat and get to know each other a little bit better in the chat, and you all online are going to get to meet Eric and talk with Grant and talk with Charlie at the conference this year. We're so excited to talk more with y'all. While you all are shifting off, Rebecca, if you want to bring on Annie Carl, if Annie Carl's still on, as well as Melissa Hart and Laura Stanfill, if Laura's still here, and we can also bring on Liz Prado. And Annie it's funny that Laura's here as well because the way that I met Annie was through Laura. So Annie, you want to talk a little bit about your work? In general, I love nebula vibrations. So if you hit on nebula vibrations, I'm gonna be happy.
Sure. Hey everyone, I'm Annie Carl. Um, I am a sci-fi fantasy kind of light horror author. As Kate mentioned, I am the author of a zine, a novella, and an anthology. Well, I'm the editor of an anthology. And so the zine is called My Tropey Life: How Pop Culture Stereotypes Make Disabled Lives Harder. My novella is called Nebula Vibrations. And the anthology I edited is Soul Jar 31 Fantastical Tales by Disabled Authors. And so my focus um, for kind of what I'm going to be bringing to Willamette Writers and what I bring whenever I go and talk about writing and what I do is how do I'm a physically disabled cancer survivor. Yeah. And so I bring that to all of my writing. And so any sort of disabled, how does any sort of disabled person exist in the future when maybe there's technology, or in a fantasy world when maybe there's magic, or in any sort of spectrum in between when there are sort of tropes and themes that sort of preclude the disabled community. And so that is like my happy place. And so I talk about that all the time. You can ask Kate when I very first met Kate. That's what we talked about first and foremost when I very first met Laura. It was in a panel at the PNBA, Pacific Northwest Booksellers Association, in a panel about diversity that did not include disabilities. And she and I just shook. And so Forest Avenue Press is the publisher for Soldier. And so yeah, so that's what I am very excited to bring to Willamette Writers this year. I can't wait to talk about it because obviously I'm very passionate about it and we'll talk about it endlessly unless someone cuts me off.
Speaking of cutting you off, I can do that because I know Melissa Hart, you also have some really great work that's come out recently, like in terms of working with your brother, and then also you've done a lot of work in the creative nonfiction world. So, yeah, what was the recent pieces you had coming out working with your brother too?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I have trouble staying in my lane as far as genre, so I kind of write all over the place. Two memoirs, two middle grade novels, a bunch of stuff for kids. I have a new book called Down Syndrome Out Loud, 20 plus stories about disability and determination, inspired by my younger brother who has Down syndrome. I interviewed 25 people from around the world with this particular genetic condition, including, probably some of you saw it, the peanut butter falcon, Zach Gottsagen, and the first US congressional lobbyist with Down syndrome, and the first person with Down syndrome to complete an Ironman, and all sorts of artists and athletes and activists. It's just really an exciting project. I also do quite a bit of writing for magazines and newspapers. Maybe some of you caught my epic New York Times essay on the personal urinary device, otherwise known as the pee funnel. Did that answer your question, Kate?
Yes, but I literally don't know how to follow up on that. I did read it and it was very great.
I have a whole box full. I could bring them as party favors.
I both want to ask you to and don't, so therefore
Yeah.
I'm going to be quiet and just see what arrives at the Willamette Writers Conference.
Right.
You know, it's going to be in my raffle basket.
Oh, yes.
That is amazing. And Liz, I was actually bringing you up on stage right now because you've done some amazing work as an editor, like, and in workshops and like throughout the community for, yeah. So I was so excited that you'll be joining the faculty. And do you want to talk about some cool projects that you've worked on recently, or something that you're excited about?
Oh gosh, there's like so many things going on right now. So I think there's been like three big things that have been rattling around with me. And one is that I did the first developmental edit on Laura Stanfield's book, Imagine a Door, that's coming out on April 1st. So that's just super exciting to see that coming out into the world. And then the other thing is Forest Avenue Press just recently closed for our open submissions period. So we've been reading hundreds, literally hundreds of queries and pages. So that's been really interesting and exciting to see what people are thinking about, what's motivating them these days, what gets them excited. All those things are going on. And then next year, I have my next book coming out, and that will be my fourth book. So there's just, a lot of fun, creative stuff going on right now.
Oh, that's so good. And we all can't wait to read Laura's book and to like hear more about the work that you've been doing as an editor as well. So thank you, Melissa and Liz and Annie.
Thank
And
you.
we'll sweep you off stage, but connect with each other in chat because I think you'll see that there's a lot that you'll want to talk about too. I am hoping that anyone else who would like to join us on stage, if you want to drop in chat, we'll bring you up on the stage because I was gonna bother Brendan O'Meara if he was still here. So we'll see who else wants to come up as well as Hallie, if Hallie is still here. But let's put in chat if you want to come up to the stage, just because you know I don't want to do that thing of like, get up here, this is being live streamed and be totally awkward about it. So we can bring up Brendan. And you all will see why I wanna talk a little bit with Brendan tonight. So we have Brendan coming up in just a second. Brendan, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm very good. I did a little walk outside in the sun. I'm supposed to talk about the weather here for a couple of seconds. Just kidding. Can you tell me who have you interviewed lately that you've been really excited about with the Creative Nonfiction Podcast?
Let's see. Let me pull up this entire backlog of things that I'm a bit. Let's see. Nico Case. She has a memoir out. I interviewed her a couple weeks ago. So yeah, she was, thrilled to speak with. I spoke with Randy Blythe, who's the memoir. He has a new memoir out, a collection of essays, and is the lead singer of the heavy death metal band Lamb of God. So he was pretty great. Amanda Heckert, who's the editor-in-chief or executive editor of Garden and Gun magazine out of South Carolina. Like, she's just a rock star. And an Oregon native, one of the more amazing essay collections I've read in a long time, Jadra Johnson. So that one's in the can, and I just gotta somehow get these produced and in the pipeline. But yeah, lots of really juicy stuff coming.
So we have two questions that we know we need to ask you. One is about the new Steve Prefontaine book, but the other one is about your dogs. So tell us about the dogs first, and then tell us about Steve Prefontaine.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate situation happening back there. Lachlan and the older dog, they don't get along, so there's a lot of separation going on back there. There's baby gates and everything, and I'm the only one home at the moment, so I can't. No one's here to mitigate and everything. But Kevin's she's a loud German Shepherd. Lachlan is this kind of plot hound mix, and Hank is a Catahoula mix. And Hank and Lachlan don't get along, so lots of drama back there. But it looks like they resolved it.
We can talk about that later too, because I have dogs in like either side of the house as well. Like, but I still like completely love dogs. But I have my headphones on, and then I'm far away from them today, only because they actually just snore really loud. So there's less barking and more snoring.
Yeah.
But tell us about the new book coming out too.
Yeah, it's the front runner, The Life of Steve Prefontaine, out by Mariner Books. It's going to be coming out May 20th of this year to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Steve's death as a tragic car accident up on Judkins Point Hill on Skyline Boulevard here in Eugene. And yeah, so it's nothing really has been written about him definitively in decades. And I was able to just interview hundreds of people, thousands of articles to get to a point where we get to the man behind the myth and try to demystify the legend around him and basically turn Pre into Steve again. And that was kind of my goal, is to bring him down to earth in the best possible way.
I love that. And we're excited to hear more about it and talk more about it too. So you all know Brendan's going to be joining us to talk about how to make podcasts, why we should make podcasts, what's the point, what are we even doing? We're going to ask that question a lot, Brendan, throughout the conferences. What's the point? What are we doing? Brendan, help. But what we'll do now is we're going to bring whoever else wants to come up on stage. And if you're not interested in being on stage tonight, I'm going to tell you that you're going to want to make sure that you turn off your camera, because pretty shortly we're going to bring all of our volunteers and faculty up for one last goodbye. So if you don't want to be up for the last goodbye, make sure that you turn off your camera now. You've been warned. While they're being warned, Marin, can you tell us, most importantly, about the cookies at the conference? Thank you.
They're cookies.
That's
Come
literally
to
it. That's all you need to know.
come to the dark side. We have cookies.
Come to the dark side. We have cookies. I haven't said it yet, and nobody's bothered me about it. So I will tell you, our conference is the end of July. It's always the first weekend in August. So we start July 30th, with pitches and critiques online, and then we do Friday, Saturday, Sunday that first weekend in August, the August 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and we'll be at the Crown Plaza Hotel in downtown Portland. Which Marin informed me that it's like adult summer camp. Why?
Because there's a pool and there's karaoke. I hear there might be epic hide and seek. Um, but there going to be crafts this year? That's the only thing that's like missing from real summer camp in a canoe. But
I think that this would be a great time to let's bring up everybody else and see if anybody has any craft ideas that can get us going. But before we do, I'll say if one person wants to give their craft idea, you can put it in chat and we'll bring you up on stage, and then we're all gonna say goodbye.
Melissa's
And
already going to make lanyards out of lanyard keychains. Fire
okay.
archery, says Eric Witchery.
Okay, so we have both fire archery promises and crochet skulls. See, what are we even doing here? And Annie, your knitting and crochet is amazing as well. So you already know that this is all gonna work out really well. We're gonna get rid of some of our spotlights here and bring everybody in the audience. That's Rebecca's job because I can't both talk and move my mouse at the same time. Complicated things happen. Now it's just me, but I'll remove myself and we'll see everybody else. So, welcome to the rest of the crew on stage tonight. We have some amazing faculty that you're going to meet at the conference, including Eric Witchy, Lil Ahrens, Hazel Denhart, and you also haven't met Hallie. How are you? I love the new book. We have lots to talk about and lots to work through. We have Kagan is going to be working with us on AI and robotics, and we'll have some great presentations from him, as well as Lisa Hepner with Hallmark Romance and Writing for the Screen. Tara, always good to see you. Y'all, if you haven't met Tara before, Tara is a great instructor and also does some work with Clarion West and some of the other sci-fi fantasy workshops too, so you'll want to look her up. Check it out. Yes, it's real. You all can get that at the conference too. So some of the other people that you're going to meet throughout the conference are Nancy Ballard, Max Cyphers, and I see Miriam again. Hello again, Miriam. I'm just going to keep saying hi because I don't get to be in enough Zoom meetings with you. You're welcome. And Bill, Catherine, Kathleen, Angela, and Allison will all be helping you, as well as Curtis, throughout the conference. So if you have any questions, I'm just going to say these are the people to ask. So I look forward to you all asking them questions. Rock out. So in our last goodbye to our live stream, if everyone wants to say goodbye, give a wave, give a thumbs up, and we'll send them on their way, and we'll get down to talking arts and crafts and fire archery. Thank you all for joining us on the YouTube stream. We look forward to seeing you this